GolfNewsRI presents the Golf Dudes Podcast. Here are the dudes.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Golf Dudes Podcast. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone's having a great week, and hopefully everyone is looking forward to what should be a great weekend of weather. I'm Joe Calabro. Joining me today is Richard Goldberg, aka Dr. Rich. We'll talk about his new book, Better Golf, Better Life, that's out in stores now. And we'll talk the mental approach. We'll talk some golf, have some fun. So we'll get to that in just a second. First, I should tell you that the Golf Dudes Podcast is brought to you by Lynx Drinks. Lynx Drinks is best known for their transfusion in a can. Transfusion is vodka, ginger ale, and grape juice, all mixed up into one refreshing ice cold beverage. It's great for days like this, and it's great to sip or chug, depending on what you want to do while you're out on the golf course. So thanks to Lynx Drinks for their continued support of GolfNewsRI and the Golf Dudes Podcast. My co-founder, Rich Capali, he's in Florida. He's continuing his Florida swing, so he's away. And also, one other thing to note, next Tuesday is a U.S. Open qualifier at Kirkbury Country Club, so we'll have full coverage starting early in the morning and going into the evening, if not later, for the qualifier. So if you're around, come on down to Kirkbury, watch some golf, watch guys try to make it to the next qualifier of the U.S. Open. This is the local qualifier. Then the top 3 or 4, whatever the number is, will advance to the sectional qualifier. So it should be an exciting day in Rhode Island. Certainly be an exciting day at Kirkbury, but come down, watch golf. It's free to walk around. So there's that. Now, with all that said, let's get to our guest, Dr. Rich. Rich, thanks so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking a few minutes. And by the way, we're taping this today at beautiful Ledgemont Country Club. So thanks to Ledgemont for hosting us. So tell the people kind of about you. Obviously, you wrote this book, but tell them about your background, kind of what you do, who you are, and why people should go by why people should listen to what you say in the book.
Okay.
Talk about your career a little bit.
Okay, Joe, nice to be here. Thank you for hosting me today and getting a chance to meet some of the people out there who are interested in maybe learning some of the other aspects of golf, especially the mental aspects of golf, which people, I guess, are starting to realize is more and more important. I mean, there's no serious player who doesn't have a golf mental coach on their team now. And most of us are not going to be able to afford our own full-time mental coach to go around with us, but I hope from the book and some of working with some people, for periods of time, I can help their game. So I've been playing golf since I was in high school. So golf has always been a part of my life. But it was about, I'd say 15 years ago or so that I was playing a lot of charity tournaments with a regular group of people. And we loved the movie Caddyshack. I hope you've seen that at least 10 times, maybe.
Probably more than that. Yep.
And one of the things we started joking about was the Dalai Lama, hits a ball pretty far at, that part of the movie. So we created the Dalai Lama Golf Association at that time, which was just sort of a way of riffing about the mystery of golf. Remember the character Ty Webb who would say, there's a force that makes things happen, and all you have to do is get in touch with that force, be the ball, but they didn't tell you how to do it. But there was something about that. We all knew there was something mysterious about this game. Exactly what weren't sure. And then I started to realize there's something more to that than just a joke, that there is something more to this game, and that there is an important mental aspect that we should get in touch with. And so my background is I'm a psychiatrist. And so I've spent my life, working with people on the mental aspects of their life. And I started to realize that there was something serious and important about the potential in golf to help people understand themselves more. And by doing that, to improve their golf game. So I converted this Dalai Lama Golf Association into Dr. Rich Golf. And brought together my background in psychiatry, in performance psychology. And one more important piece of this, my background in mindfulness meditation, because I've been involved with that for 50 years. And that's a really important part of this.
Mhm.
And I'll take a little detour into this. And I don't know if you saw Phil Mickelson after he won the PGA a few years ago.
Yeah.
And in his press conference afterwards, and I can't give you the exact quote, but I'll paraphrase it when they said, what do you think happened? Here you are, and you won the PGA at this age. And he said, well, I don't want to get all spiritual and everything, but really what made the difference for me was meditation. There's so much going on in my life. I'm distracted by endorsements and interviews and finance people and the PGA. All this is going on. I got all these things going on in my head, and I couldn't really focus in my golf game. And so when I got into daily meditation in the morning, I was able to settle my mind, and I've committed myself to doing that every day. And I think that's why I won the PGA. That's a pretty big endorsement of the importance of the mental aspects of golf,
especially at that level.
Yeah, so it's at any level. I mean,
Any level, yeah.
it's the same thing when a 20 handicapper tees it up on the first tee, and their head is all over the place, and they're worried about, am I going to miss this ball? Sometimes they will, because their head is everywhere except focused on that golf ball, because they don't know how to do it. So at every single level, people that's one of the skills that they need to learn to develop. So I put that background together, psychiatry, performance psychology, meditation, and my experience playing golf, and then starting to work with golfers. People would come to me and start to talk to me about their games at first.
So even 5 minutes before the tee time, as we talked about off the air, you were just saying, right?
Yeah, a guy would walk up to me and say, oh, Dr. Rich, I got a match I'm starting in 5 minutes. Give me a tip. Give me a mental tip that's going to help me win this match. Okay, if it only were so simple. And one of the things, by the way, is that this endless search for golf tips is not going to help people. I mean, anybody who's a golfer will know in the last year, I've had 187 golf tips. Some of them last one day, some of them last 1 week, and then I'm on to the next one. So, Dr. Rich Golf tries to get underneath a lot of that. What are the changes you really need to make instead of just looking for golf tips?
Absolutely. So you recently published this book again. The book is called Better Golf, Better Life. There's also we did an article about it a month ago now. It's on our website, GolfNewsRI.com. There's a click through where you can buy the book. There'll be some more stuff coming up as well with Dr. Rich. As a writer, I'm interested, and I've asked the same question to Peter May, who we had on a while ago, to Bob Harrick, who wrote a book about Tiger and Phil. But as a writer, I'm interested in kind of your process in putting this book together. What was that like for you? Kind of the writing aspect of it, like how was that for you putting this together?
Well, I've always been a writer.
Yeah.
I mean, in my academic career as a psychiatrist, I probably wrote 500 articles and 9 books, and was always speaking. So writing was not hard for me. But what this came out of was I'd be working with people, and then we'd be thinking about, after our golf session, I'd be going back and thinking, well, what happened here? What was helpful to that person? What was the experience like? What was it like? What did it feel like to be part of that? How did this person learn? And then I would, write those anecdotes. Some of them I ended up throwing away. Some of them were good enough to work on and become part of the books. So this book is written as sort of 34 short essays. It's sort of a hit and run. They're bite-sized pieces that people don't have to sit down and read 147 pages of dense material, to get things. It's 34 short essays on the mental aspects of the game, the foundations, what they have to change to make their golf better and their life better, and then how this transforms them as people. So I will say that the way we become better golfers is partly by becoming better people, learning about ourselves, and that will help us become better golfers. And so part of the message of Better Golf, Better Life is that the things we learn on the golf course, we can bring into our home, into our workplace, into other places.
Isn't it amazing how golf and life, they kind of run together? Like we were talking about this before we started taping, and I don't mean to keep going back to that, but we legitimately were talking about this. just like how impact how you do on the golf course kind of can your mental state on the course can impact your mental state kind of at home, and kind of how it all eventually it all intertwines somewhere, even though this is just a silly game and home life is home life, but it all kind of runs together. I thought that was really interesting.
Well, the thing we got into before we started this was how the importance of being present. You know, people stand over a golf ball. There are 1,000 thoughts going through their head. Most people aren't even aware of that, but then they wonder how come same bad things keep happening. And eventually they need to begin to develop more self-awareness and more presence. What's the biggest complaint to people after a bad round? One of them is, I couldn't concentrate. You know, what happened on that shot? I lost my concentration. And yeah, I'll give you an anecdote about that'll lead up to this. It's one of my favorite ones. Tom Kite, when he was #1 in the world, went back one day to play with the University of Texas golf team. That was his alma mater. So he went around. You know how these things go, that he would play 4 holes with a foursome, and then he'd go to another foursome and play 4 holes. So he eventually met all the guys on the team and he played along with them.
Right.
So at the dinner that night, they all come in, they're having dinner, and they're sitting around with Tom Kite. And one of these UT golfers says, Mr. Kite, I got a question for you. Go ahead. I said, well, with all due respect, you know, thank you for playing golf with us today. But, you know, I drive the ball as well as you do. My iron game is as good as yours. I seem to be putting as well as you. Yet you're #1 in the world. I'm struggling to make the UT golf team. What's the difference between us? And Mr. Kite said, you know, first of all, you are playing some great golf. You are a great ball striker. You're a great putter. He said, the biggest difference between you and me is you lose your concentration 4 times more during a round than I do. Over 4 days, that's 16 strokes. Not because I'm a better golfer, because I can focus my mind and I don't lose my concentration. So people's mind is all over the place. And one of the things I didn't start out believing this was going to be so important, but by working with a lot of people and coaching a lot of people, learning to concentrate and focus attention has become more and more a kind of a fundamental, foundational aspect of their game, because otherwise people just keep complaining about it. And I help people learn to do that. And what you just mentioned is it carries over into their life. Who doesn't want to be more present with their family, with their kids, with their workers, with their employees? And we're not present most of the time. Our mind is all over the place, especially during interactions when people want us to be there, want us to listen to them, want us to pay attention to them, want us to be engaged with them. We have the same trouble there as we do engaging with a golf ball. So a great place to work and to improve our lives is a learning laboratory. This great golf course back here, I view as a learning laboratory. You know, the stakes aren't life and death, but you have an opportunity to practice some skills that not only will make your golf game better, but make you a better person, improve your life as well.
In all your years of teaching, because as you mentioned, you are a teacher as well. People fly in to see you. You fly out to see people and all different kinds of things. In all your years of teaching, is the mental aspect of it, is that the biggest thing that you see people having an issue with, even more so than their actual physical game? That's really just about, or much of it is about kind of the mental side of it.
Well, I think it's a complex game, and I think these are complementary aspects. I mean, yeah, there are things to learn technically. So I'm not saying it's either or. I mean, if somebody's got a good technical golf instructor who they're working with, that's going to be important. And they ought to keep learning some of the technical golf information that they need. But the mental aspect is complementary with that. I'm also sort of a techie, geeky guy. I'll admit that. And I think people should get fit for golf clubs. You know, and your golf clubs ought to fit you with the right lie and length, and you know, get the right spin rate on your drives. It doesn't conflict with the importance of the mental aspects of golf. So, you know, the technical aspects of golf and the mental aspects of golf have to complement each other. and just one side alone is not going to do it. But I had a guy call me up the other day and said, Dr. Rich, I'd like to come and see if you can help me out. Okay, what's your problem? I said, well, in the last 3 years, I've bought 6 sets of golf clubs. I have 47 putters in my basement. Please help me before my wife divorces me. So that's an extreme of somebody thinking they're going to find the answer in like the next golf club, the next lesson. And I had
maybe the 50th putter has
maybe the next putter will do it. So that wasn't that hard to fix, actually, for this guy.
Oh, you got 50 putters. One of them is gonna work. What do you hope people? What do you hope the biggest thing is people take from this book, Better Golf, Better Life? What do you hope people get out of it?
Well, I think in a
what do you think people will get out of it?
Well, I think they're going to get the important fundamental skills that they need to start to improve their golf game and become a better person. There's the introductory section is really about self-awareness and taking responsibility for things. Stop making excuses. Another thing, when you see people who are hitting bad shots, we talked about, I lost my concentration. There's another group of people who will make excuses. Oh, what happened in that shot? Oh, there was a shadow. The caddy gave me the wrong read. My shoes didn't fit. I was up late last night. I didn't like what I had. I had too much coffee this morning. It's everything except what am I doing and not doing? What do I need to do to own this shot and take responsibility for this shot and become aware of what's happening with this complex orchestration that we call a golf swing? The brain goes through this incredibly complex function. And if the start of it is by looking, understanding what's happening in your own head. So helping people understand that. And it is a bit of, there are generalized things that come through in this book, but the work and coaching becomes very individualized because it's a little bit different for everyone. So I give people the foundations. Like I said, I didn't start out thinking I was going to be a teacher of meditation or breathing. But that's another important aspect to this is, breathing control. Watch TV and you can see how people are working on their breathing as they approach things. But those become skills I try to teach in the book. And then I guess towards the end of the book, I get into some of what I'd call the spiritual aspects of the game. The fact that there's a beauty to this game. We walk in these gorgeous places. We should be thankful for that. And it's not about the tiny critical self that we carry around inside us. It's always saying, you didn't do this well enough. You didn't do that well enough. Next week, you should improve this. But being grateful for the opportunities we have to play this game, and that gratitude, which you hear high-level players talking about a lot, is important. So it covers a spectrum of issues. It's kind of an introduction to get people. I think there'll be some aspect of it that every golfer will be able to hook on to a couple of these chapters and say, that's me. This is the feedback I've gotten. That helps me. Some of the chapters, no, maybe not. Because it's as I said, it's individualized. Right. But there's enough in there that will contribute to each person. And then some people will want to follow up with some individualized coaching.
Yeah, really, really interesting book. Really interesting aspect of the game of golf is obviously the mental aspect of it. How's your game? You playing a lot? How often are you out there?
I've actually my coaching is getting in the way of my game. But I do. I play a couple times a week, 9 holes a couple times a week, because there's nothing better than learning for myself. Testing out some of these things on my own. That we'll save some of those stories for another time. But I do remind people. I used to do this in psychiatry. Just because I'm a psychiatrist doesn't mean that some parts of my life aren't messed up.
Right.
I know how to help other people. That's my profession. You learn the skills to help other people. it's a little harder sometimes to
Help yourself.
help yourself. So in the same way, do I still have a lot more to go in terms of the deep learning I have to do to master these things? Yeah, for me, I do. But I know how to be a teacher, and I know how to help identify the issues in people, because like in psychiatry, it's a skill set you can develop to be a teacher without necessarily having mastered everything yourself. Now, some aspects of it, I've put in a lot of time in, 50 years in focusing my attention and concentrating. I'm a little better than most people at doing that, but there's still a lot to learn, which it's a lifetime undertaking.
Now, all your years of working with golfers on all different levels, I know you've talked about a couple of stories. We don't necessarily need to mention the names of the players, but what's your best story of working with somebody that maybe where it really worked and they came back the next day or whatever it might have been and said, dude, you performed a miracle or whatever. What any cool stories like that
Well,
where you've seen where a player has seen tremendous success off of kind of your tips that really kind of made you feel good?
Well, again, I'm not doing golf tips,
Yeah,
but the
mental
Pe-
coaching.
it's more mental coaching, like people get over the first tee jitters, and people who said that they couldn't get up on the first tee without
Crapping
worrying
themselves.
about, am I going to whiff this ball? What are people going to think about me? There's people in the clubhouse watching me, getting them over that. And they
The
would
first
say,
tee is always the first tee is always the most nerve-wracking.
yeah, so now I can go out and I don't have that horrible cloud hanging over me. I can enjoy, teeing off in the morning. Thank you for that. Or other people who realize how, well, I can give you one deep anecdote about this. So I was working with a woman who, she'd be in her golf cart and she'd be about 150 yards from the green.
Mhm.
And I, as a golf coach, I would be in the cart with her, talking
Right.
and watching her shots. Every time she hit a ball up to the green, she'd scooch up on the golf cart and try to see, where did it end up? Was it on the green? Was it in the bunker? Was it in the deep grass? Where does it go? She was always anxious to see where it was. So I helped her become aware of that. And I said, you're on an emotional roller coaster by doing what you're doing. You just see that as we get closer to the green, if the ball's in the green, you're relieved. If it's like in the bunker, you're like disappointed and tense. And I said, watching you go through your round, you're in this emotional roller coaster, these highs and lows. That's not good for your golf game. It's not good for your life. So we kind of worked on her change, first becoming aware of that.
Mhm.
And then she was a pretty good golfer. She was competing at the state level.
Oh, wow.
Hadn't won it yet.
Yeah.
But I helped her see, like, wherever that ball is, you've got that shot. So sit back. You hit a shot. Now sit back. When you get to that shot near the green, you'll deal with that, and you've got that shot. So she was able to transform herself, to get off this emotional roller coaster, develop a kind of equanimity that you see in good players, which helped her game, and she kind of moved up a number of spots in the her state rankings by doing that. But even more important was, a year later, after I stopped working with her, she called me up. I hope this doesn't get too deep for people, because she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she had to face a lot of surgery and chemotherapy and things.
Mhm.
And she said it was, of course, terrifying initially. And as she got into the process, she brought this thing she learned from golf, which was, whatever happens, whatever I'm going to deal with, I got that shot. I've got the capability within me to deal with this, crisis in my life. And she says, I think I learned that I had that capability within me. I think I learned it on the golf course. So, Dr. Rich, thank you for helping me. I'm calling you up a year later because it's made a big impact on my life. And so that's pretty gratifying as a golf
Yeah.
coach to see something like that happen.
That's an amazing story, and I think that's a great place to end it with an amazing story like that. The book is Better Golf, Better Life. It's in stores now. It's online on Amazon.com. You can purchase it. And
Just came out with an ebook too.
it just came out with an ebook too for you people that like the Kindles. I'm still a book in hand guy.
Yeah, me too.
I know about you. I still like having the physical book. I have books scattered all over my my office, so to speak, at my house. I'm still a book in hand guy, but some people like the Kindles and the ebooks and the
It's on
stuff.
Apple books, etc.
Technology is crazy these days. But Richard, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the book. I know we'll be in contact, and I know we have a few other things that we're hoping to do in the near future. So we're looking forward to that. This has been another edition of the Golf Dudes podcast. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of your Thursday, enjoys the rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.